Hi guys, it is time for an equivalent time period video. Now this just means that it's going to be equal time periods. So they're things that mean about the same amounts of time. And we use it all the time in our calendars and our watches. And so we're going to go ahead and watch a video on this. Okay, so join me, come along. All right, the first one is how many seconds are in a minute? Now, if we're trying to figure out how many seconds are in a minute, what we actually mean is this right here that I'm circling is the seconds hand. And that means it has to go around one full circle before it's been a minute. And what it does is it goes around 60 seconds in order to be 1 minute. So our question for today is, well, how many seconds are in 3 minutes? So we need to think, what is the strategy that we would need to do to figure this out? If we take those 60 seconds that it takes to make 1 minute and we multiply it by 3, then that is going to give us our answer. So I have 60 times 3, and I just do a 2 by 1 here. 0 times 3 is 0. And then 3 times 6 is 18. So that means it takes 180 seconds in order to equal 3 minutes. All right, the next one is how many minutes are in 1 hour? So remember, we were just looking at that seconds hand right there, all right, because that's ticking away and that's actually moving our minute hand, and that is this hand right here. All right, and as that second hand gets all the way around, then that minute hand moves just another move, and then it moves another minute move. Well, I want to know, my question is, how many minutes does it take to move that hour hand? So I find out that there are actually 60 minutes in 1 hour, which makes a lot of sense. If there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, then there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And that means that it is going to be 60 minutes before this hour hand moves from the 10 to the 11. Okay, that's why we say that's the slow moving hand. All right, so my question today is how many minutes are in 5 hours? So if I know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour, then what I would need to do is my strategy is I would need to take that 60 minutes and I would need to multiply it by 5 hours in order to figure out how many minutes are in 5 hours. So let's do it. 0 times 5 is 0. 6 times 5 is 30. So that means there are 300 minutes in 5 hours. Let's try the next one. All right, this one said how many hours are in a day. So we've been talking a lot about this, especially with the calendar and time. All right, so we know here evening time, everything starts at that 12 a.m. All right, that's what happens there. And so a new day begins. We go all the way through the day. This is probably closer to 6 a.m. right here. And then what happens is we start hitting um, right here, sort of in the afternoon. And now we've become 12 p.m. And then it begins to move up and move up and move up. And so we have 24 hours that actually go by for there to be a complete day. So 24 hours equals 1 day. So I want to find out, well, if 24 hours equals 1 day, how many hours are there in 4 days? So I'm going to use that same strategy. I'm going to take the 24 hours, I'm going to multiply it by 4, and that's going to give me how many hours that we have. So 4 times 4 is 16. I carry that 1. 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 more is 9. So that means there is 96 hours in 4 days. So if I were going to be going on vacation for 4 days, I would be gone for 96 hours. All right, the next one is how many days are in 1 year? So we know that in a calendar year, it is set up into months, and we can see that it's also set up into seasons. We have 4 seasons. Right now we're in winter, so right after winter will become springtime, and then of course summer, and then we start school again back in the fall. So we're kind of right here in this spot. And let me get rid of that. Oops, let me get rid of that because we're going to need that for something. But we are right there in this this spot right there. All right, so my next part is how many days are in 1 year. So this is actually what happens. There is actually 365. Now let me clarify. There's 365 and a quarter, 1/4. Because what happens is there's 1/4 here, there's 1/4 here, there is, well, it's 1/4. And so what happens is after you, if you have a leap year, then that makes up that 366 days in a leap year. So typically it's 365 and a quarter, but we like to call it just 365, and that will be perfectly fine for what we're doing. So if I know that there are 365 days in 1 year, then we need to figure out, well, how many days are in 2 years? So if we take that same strategy and say 365 days in 1 year, so we need to multiply it by 2. So the nice thing is when we're multiplying by 2, basically we can just add it twice. You're going to get the very same answer. So 5 and 5 is 10, 6 and 6 is 12, and one more is 13. 3 and 3 is 6, and one more is 7. So there are 730 days in 2 years. That's a lot of days. So when someone's 2 years old, they're actually 730 days old. Let's try the next one. All right, how many days are in a week? This is where we go back to that calendar piece. So I see that the week typically starts on a Sunday. We have a work week, which is usually that Monday through Friday, and that's a school week too. And then we talk about Saturday being a weekend and Sunday being a weekend, but often people will consider Sunday to start that new week. So if we count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So if there are 7 days that equal 1 week, so how many days would equal 5 weeks? I would have to do 7 5 times in order to equal 5 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here, and I know 7 times 5 is 35. So there are actually 35 days in 5 weeks. Here's an interesting fact that you may or may not know. If we want to know, well, how many weeks are in a whole year? Okay, there are actually 52 weeks in one whole year. This is not something that you'll test it on, but it is very interesting to know. 52 weeks have gone by. If you have a birthday and you're wondering, well, when is my next birthday? And you just had it, it's 52 weeks away, and you can keep counting down. Now it's 51, now it's 50 weeks away. So that's just an interesting fact. All right, this question says about how many days are in a month. And this is something we've talked about before. In this case, July actually has 31 days, but not all the days have 31. February has 28, and we have some that have 30 and some that have 31. So what we usually use as a standard is there are about 30 days that's going to equal a month. We just say 30, although you have to really look. If you're looking at a calendar, some are 30 and some are 31. All right, and of course on a leap year, then February would have 29, and that's that quarter would make up that extra day. All right, so if I'm thinking there's about 30 days in 1 month, about how many days are there in 4 months? We're going to use that same strategy. 30 times 4, and 0 times 4 is 0. 3 times 4 is 12, so 120 days. So about 120 days would equal 4 months. All right, how many months are in a year? So if we did our January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, then we're going to find out that there are 12 months in a year. And so if I want to find out how many months are in 3 years, we're going to take those 12 months times 3, just like we've done before. And this means that 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 1 is 3. So 36 months equal 3 years. A lot of times if you talk to a mama who's asking how old her baby is, she might say, oh, they're 20 months or they're 15 months. So a lot of times they'll talk about in months. But what that really is 12 months is equaling 1 year. So if you talk to a mama who says that their child is 36 months, that means they are 3 years old. All right, now this is going to be your challenge for today. Can you use all the information we've talked about, the hours and the minutes and the days and the weeks and the months and the years? And can you answer some tricky questions? What I need you to do now is to X out of this, go to Google Classroom Math, and there is a 5-question quiz called Equivalent Time Periods Challenge. All right, it may not let you know if you got them all correct because I've chosen to do this one as a quiz, and I think it just sends me the answers, and I'll let you know tomorrow how you did. So good luck today.